Hello everybody, welcome back. Well, now I'm back in my domain, everything's calmed down a bit and I've had a chance to gather my thoughts, so to speak. I thought I'd give you an overview or summary of what happened yesterday while I was in London. It was a very early start. I was out my door probably 20 to 6 in the morning and on the 20 past 6 train up to St Pancras. From there, got across to Covent Garden. There's about a half a mile walk to the courts. Just opposite the courts, there's a little collection. There's a pub and a couple of cafes, and we all gathered in there about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. Graham, of course, turned up, and you can see that on the live stream and the live footage I did yesterday. Now, the situation in the court was very interesting. It was an appeal court in front of appeal judges, probably the second highest most court you could think of in the land. But the number of seats that were available for the general public was pathetic. There was about 12 actual proper spectator seats. Well, if I told you that they were overwhelmed, they didn't anticipate the amount of people that were going to turn up. It was, I think someone did a head count and 90 people turned up. 90 people, all to see what was happening. And one of the basic tenets of our system is justice has to be seen to be done. So as well as turning up and the case actually happening, justice has to be seen to be done. That's very important. So what they had to do was get a spare court that was upstairs, open it up, and get a video link set up so all of the people that turned up to support Graham could actually see what was going on from the other court. It was outrageous. I didn't think they knew what to do with us. Now, what actually happened? The reason the appeal happened in the first place, we've got to get this straight. This wasn't Graham who appealed anything. There's going to be a hearing in November, the 3rd, the 4th and 5th of November in Chester. And it's called a Court of Common Plea. And what that will basically do, Graham will go up there and he will be in front of High Court judges who travel up from London to listen to the evidence with regard to inappropriate activities going on at the Runcorn Helsby by-election. And then a decision will be made as to whether to annul the election or anything else. This appeal was called by Sarah Pochin and the returning officer's side, so their defence. And what they wanted to do was try and get this whole thing thrown out. And the method by which they tried to do that was on a technicality. The technicality being that Graham didn't serve what he should have served when he should have served it and in the timely fashion he should have served it. All of which is 100% BS because he's got documentary and picture proof that all of this was done in the method in which it should have been. So we had to listen to a defence lawyer go on for better part of 2 hours, and to be honest, I think he pissed the judges off because he realised at one point that he screwed up and he was just going round and round and round in circles trying to undo the knot he got himself in, and it was just apparent. Anyway, we stopped for lunch, about an hour for lunch, and came back to it about 2 o'clock. Sarah Pochin's lawyer, who was in there, turned around and basically said, "Got nothing more to add, Your Honour. He's dealt with everything in the 2 hours previously." I think everyone by that point was, oh. Anyway, over to Graham. What did Graham do? Well, Graham literally didn't worry about the technicalities of, the previous 2 hours, as in what he did when he did, because we all know that he did in the time and manner in which he should have done. What Graham concentrated on was the actual right we have to justice, the right we have to elections, the right we have to elect our MPs rather than being selected by a returning officer. Why didn't the returning officer, if there's nothing to hide, just order a full ballot recount instead of going to all this expense of appeal hearings and everything else? Graham covered the fact that if we don't have free and fair elections, which, by the way, is under the English Bill of Rights, we're slaves. We're not subjects, we're slaves. And also what you have to consider as well is if we don't have free and fair elections, there's no sovereignty. So without sovereignty, how can there be a parliament? When you start to break down this situation, it becomes very, very massive. Graham talked a lot about history. He talked about Peterloo. If anybody, isn't aware of Peterloo, look it up. It's where people were effectively wiped out because they came out wanting the right to vote. Basically, the right to turn up and say hello. And, it was a massacre. And there are other bits in our history which equate to the same thing. And, his testimony was very, very effective indeed. Now, the government, the establishment, would like nothing more than to wipe England from the face of the earth because they know full well there is an armoury of constitutional knowledge, constitutional law there alone, which could save all our bacons. And they don't want to save all our bacon, so they'd be quite happy not to talk of England, not to talk of anything. This was a fantastic group of people that turned up in support of Graham yesterday. You can see the picture here while I'm talking to you. And as I said, there was near 100 of us, about 90. Now, what's going to happen now is we have to wait. The judges said there would not be a judgment on that day. If there is any justice in the world, then Graham's won, and we will get the hearing in Chester. All that's happened is he said, all we want, Your Honour, your Lords and Ladyship, is access to justice, access to a trial, and for justice to be done, for us to present our evidence and show we've got problems with our election system. That's it. That's the case at the end of the day. Hopefully we will get this quickly because obviously the main trial in Chester itself is coming up very soon. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. At the end of the day, if it's happening here, it's happening everywhere else. And the enormity of this whole thing, and it brings it into question, is the fact that if there's doubt in one election where somebody was obviously selected rather than elected, what's not to say it's happening all over the place as well? And what does that say for our parliament? Once you see that, you start to get the consequences. Now, the last thing I want to say is I was aware that a lady called into Paul Thorpe's live stream yesterday when he did his phoning and actually mentioned this situation and what's going on, and said, we need to push this. We need to get this advertised. We need as much attention and as many eyes on this as possible. And I echo that sentiment and thank that lady. Please share. We need as much thing on this as possible. Also, Graham, bless him, managed to raise in less than 2 days all of the money he needed to cover his initial cost of 25 grand. He's up to about 26 or 27 grand now. That's not the end of it. There's going to be more as this goes on. So if you are able to donate and help, that'd be great. If you can't, just share it, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Anyway, that's enough. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.